Well, big up, big up, big up, Reds. My Reds out there, big up to each and every one of you, including the rivals, the neutrals. Welcome back. If you woke up this morning feeling a bit of relief, but maybe like a mixed bag of relief, a little frustration, maybe a little optimism tangled up with concern. Congratulations. You're feeling like the rest of us are, most likely. And that's because you've been paying attention, obviously, to how we've been playing. And, Liverpool won against a Spurs squad that is in a bit of turmoil. I don't know exactly what's going on with them, especially, but Liverpool won. Liverpool survived. Liverpool battled. Liverpool limped away. There's a lot of different ways you can look at this scenario, because I know for me it was a lot going on out there, and there's a lot that really, really needed to be broken down and really dissected by probably watching the game over a bit. Because I know that for a lot of us, we came away with some visceral moments from the game. I think a lot of us did, at least. Shout out to all that are joining us. We got a lot of people already in the stack here in the chat. So appreciate everyone joining us, whether you're joining us live on X or if you're joining us on YouTube. Shout out to all of you. Oh, man. But I called this episode General Hospital. And that's a little bit of an ode to my grandmother that used to watch that soap opera. But it's something of what it feels like. This is like the LFC edition, I called it, because right now the football club feels like a constant rotation of stretchers or scans or waiting for injury reports to come back, the wait and see press conference answers. And I guess the uncomfortable part about all of this is, even with all that, Liverpool are still somehow in this top four mix, still competitive, still within reach. Shout out to Alexander. Shout out to Ardo. Big up. I said Lee Kid, and hopefully I said Red Armchair Supporter, but shout out to both of you. It's always good to see Alexander. It's always good to see you, my friend. It is looking like it is a disaster. It is a disaster in our front line. I agree with that. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I had a little bit of there might be a troll or two that join us possibly in some of these episodes coming up. But I've been very active in the comment sections of some of my fellow content creators out there. I can say fellow content creators out there now, because I've been doing this for a little while now. I've got a host of videos, and it's been an interesting take. It's been an interesting take. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yeah, I saw that latest statement, but I'm waiting for a 12th man to reveal it. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Because I did end up. This is regarding Curtis. Tell me in the chat. Hi, Laura. I think you might be regarding Curtis Jones' comments or something. I did watch that interview. If that's what you're speaking on. I didn't have a segment dedicated to the interview, but I did see the interview, if that's what you're saying. But what I was really, really speaking on is something that I've noticed by some other channels. Now, I know I've gotten labeled this or labeled that because of my support of the Reds, and sometimes my undying support for the Reds, and sometimes even defense of some players, if not all players, pretty much. Just Reds in general, whether you're a player or a part of the community. And it's interesting because what I've noticed is there's been a difference in opinions. A lot of the internet base that I've seen has been optimistic, but more so realistic uh, about the concern that we should all have that we saw towards the end of the game, and other concerns that were brought up by the game and everything else. Because the uncomfortable part, even with all that we saw on the day before, or 2 days, or the day before actually, Liverpool are still alive, like I said, but the conversation tonight isn't about panic. I'm not trying to make it like, we all hands on deck and we need to like push the panic button. But it's not even about sack talk. I'm not trying to say we should sack the manager. That's not no slot out conversation. I'm not going to that direction. What I'm trying to have is an honest conversation, because I don't want to pretend that everything is fine. I think we can break down some of this diagnosis, have honest conversations with each other. And it doesn't mean that you're anti-Liverpool or you're pro-Liverpool or anything like that. It's not about, making a civil war. But I think that there were some concerns about some of the things that we saw in the game yesterday. And that's primarily what I noticed a lot of my fellow content creators, some of the bigger names, by the way, some of the very bigger names. And I'm not talking about necessarily the ones that look to do clickbait. I'm talking about ones that normally try to be at least pretty consistent with their approaches, and a lot of them were kind of like, they were basically making this. They were basically talking about all the positives, which is fantastic. I'm Mr. Positivity, most likely, is that often gets rated as. When I go on some of these panels, I'm usually the one that's always talking about positives or talking about the more more optimistic viewpoint. But what was really, really unique was that it was myself that was pointing out against these content creators out there about how there are some concerns. There should be some concerns that we hold directly and we address directly, and not pretend, which is what some of the other shows I saw did, which is pretend as if everything's fine, everything's great, everything's dandy. We're back to flying high, and we're a well-oiled machine. There are still some growing pains that we're seeing with the club. So I'm going to diagnose as much as I can with you, and I'm going to have your conversation be a part of the conversation, obviously. And I'm hoping that we can, have an adult conversation, really have an adult conversation. We don't necessarily have to go to the point of calling each other names and the likes. We can have an adult conversation. So let us begin with what the man himself, Arne Slot, said after the match, and what maybe he didn't say. Because what he said matters just as much as what he couldn't necessarily say. All right, Arne Slot's post-match press conference was calm, measured, reasonable. The coach has certainly gotten a little bit more of his confidence back in the pressers. We can all see that. We can all agree on that. When asked about Alexander Isak's injury, Slot didn't give us medical clarity. He gave us instinct. He said, quote, gut feeling, or use words such as gut feeling and the likes. He spoke about players who try to return versus players who don't return. And that's where I'm talking about uncertainty. That's not the language of certainty. That's the language of someone bracing for bad news. And that's a concern. He praised the Isak-Wirtz connection. And yes, that was exactly what Liverpool need more of. I think all of us in the chat, and the OGs of the chat, those even those that occasionally stop by to say hello in the chat, have all pretty much been on the same page with where the direction of where we want to see our offense be funneled through. We spent over 300 million pounds on 3 players: Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike. We've utilized a combination of utilizing those players involved here and there, and it's been interesting how Slot has gone about trying to figure out how to, implement each into the lineups. There's been parts where Ekitike obviously was the starter because Isak, even though people had Isak as being the preferred starter, Ekitike was the more informed starter. He was the one that was more in shape or more fit. And Isak was going to have to work his way back into being the starter necessarily. But there were periods where Isak was deemed as being fit, and he was getting starts, despite the fact that some of us said Ekitike was the more informed striker. He is now, in a lot of people's opinions, become just that. Ekitike has become our main striker, which is very interesting. But I know that when you do see what happened yesterday, it was disappointing because that was one of the first times we've seen, not only for Flo, because we're going to get into Florian Wirtz later on in the show. He's the main topic of the show. But to see Isak get his goal in that game, the goal that actually was, in essence, a very important goal, obviously, and then be injured in the process, it was extremely bad luck. This is just as Alexander says, hard luck on Isak. He sacrificed a lot. Not every ends in roses, or sometimes thorns. It was thorns on a rose, I guess, But that's just the thing. When Slot praised the Isak Wirtz connection, and yes, exactly what I said, we have to notice how quickly the optimism was followed by caution. By him saying, let's not be too negative yet. And that was just that, words that rang heavy for me. I don't know if it rang heavy for you, but let's not be too negative yet. I know some were talking it's the MCL, some were saying ACL. As High Lord put in the chat, they're now moving away from it being some type of injury as catastrophic as that. But the phrase only exists when negativity is lurking nearby. And then came the most revealing line of the night, I thought, and that was Slot admitted Liverpool struggled with a +1. Now, I spoke about the pushback that I gave towards some of my brethren, my content creating brethren here, especially the ones that are Liverpool related in our Liverpool community here. And that was what I was trying to say is important. I know that a lot of people were focused on a lot of the positives, or at least these certain content creators were focused on the positives. Fantastic. I am all about bringing about the positives, but the criticism has to be realistic. Because that should stop the tape right there. Like, as you should push pause just to make sure that you turn up the volume a little bit to hear what he just said. We struggled with a +1. Heck, some of you might even go as far as to say we struggled with a +2. And struggling is the issue. Struggling with a numerical advantage isn't just about execution, it's about mentality. It suggests the team's unsure whether to accelerate or to protect. They're lost. They're like in this like limbo. We were like, that's what it felt like to me in a sense. We were in this like limbo. It's like, I don't know, the upside down place or something, like Stranger Things fans out there. We didn't understand exactly where it was that we were. Slot framed Frimpong's substitution as pragmatism. He said he wanted to avoid a 10v10 for 30 seconds. And tactically, I understand that. If anything, I understand that Frimpong was angry. And rightfully so. We all saw what happened, by the way. He had blood dripping from his lip, and it's obvious that he had been hit in the face. There was no stoppage of play or anything like that. And when after the foul, there's no card necessarily for it. But we all understand the anger. I will say Frimpong has to dial it back, recognizing the fact that he doesn't want to put his team in a position similar to what Romero did for his team. We know you're aggrieved, but you have a captain to do your fighting for, or do your fighting on the pitch when it comes to arguing your case. We want you to keep your head in the game no matter what happens to you. But fine, let's move on. Tactically sound decision to take him off the pitch if he can't keep it together. And even tactically sound decisions can sometimes still expose deeper issues. Liverpool weren't struggling because of injuries alone in this game. They were struggling because they weren't playing with authority. And Slot knows it. Even if he won't say it outright, even if some of the content creators that I spoke of didn't mention my name, but I spoke of, won't say it themselves. They want to focus on other things because we're just happy to be back into the we're not losing frame of thinking. Fantastic. But we definitely need to get that swagger back, that mentality monster swagger back, which is not what we saw towards the end of that match. It seemed like at times we were playing as if we were afraid that we are about to drop the bag again. And that's a concern. That's certainly a concern. Big up to Dara. Big up Dara. Big up Norm, by the way. Big up Dara and Norm. In the chat, we see you. We definitely see you. Let me see what else. Let me see what the chat is saying before I continue on here. See if you guys are even talking about. Sometimes the chat goes on to talk about things that might not be exactly what I'm speaking on topic for. Okay, I think you guys are doing just that. But okay, cool. I don't. You could tell me in the chat too. By the way, again, if you're on X, even though I do see your post, you can definitely post something on X. The you'll have to join us on YouTube if you want the others on YouTube to see it. But you certainly should be involved in the conversation. You know, there's a large group of people in the chat right now, so definitely do so if you can, and join in on the conversation, because I wanted to know, when you hear what Slot had to say in his press conference, do you see it as Slot managing expectations, or is he quietly managing concern? Which do you see it as? Do you see it as Slot managing expectations, or do you see it as Slot quietly managing concern? Because for me, this sounded less like reassurance and more like controlled damage limitation. Like, let's minimize the damage, because we went out there, we had players that picked up yellow cards, we had players that are closer to being possibly even suspended, players that are going to be suspended, actually, because Dama Szoboszlai picked a yellow card up for himself, so he won't be available for the Wolves game. We have players also pick up injuries, obviously the Isak, but also Conor, picked up injury. I don't think that Frimpong necessarily constitutes as an injury per se that brought him out of the game. I just spoke on why the coach brought him out, but it is a concern. Red Armchair Supporter says, concern. He has to be concerned with the lack of composure they're showing at times. And I agree with that completely. You have to. And again, this is why I was so, invigorated to answer some of the comments out there, or to comment on some other people's pages that sometimes I don't necessarily do. And that is because you have to have some type of concern. You certainly do. Norm says, I definitely think we are not really playing to a particular style at the moment. You can see it in performances. I agree with that completely, to tell you the truth. I don't know. If you were to tell me what is our concerted style of play, it would take some real diving into doing the homework, to come up with a consensus as to what our style of play and everything that is connected to this current lineup, this current squad. Because I don't think that this current squad is playing under the same system of premise that the squad last season played to. Alexander says, we don't have that swagger like a big club like City. We're here to outclass you. Hughes, of course, knows that. He actually wrote it. He's talking about something he wrote earlier about Semenyo. I'll have a deep dive on Semenyo tomorrow as well. I didn't think that we are. Norm saying, I didn't think we are not really playing to a particular style at the moment. Oh, sorry, I just wrote that question. I'll bring in Alante. Appreciate the fact that I have someone to kind of balance the scales here, so that it's not just a one-sided opinion being offered, other than the chats. Big up, Nolante. How are you doing?
Yeah, big up yourself. 12 seasons. Greetings to all.
Absolutely. Season greetings. Happy holidays.
Indeed,
happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Am I missing one? I don't know. we're getting in that sweet spot where everything is there.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, And those in the chat that you already know, being a parent isn't for the faint-hearted. I'll tell you that. I really tell you that. But
Nah,
anyway, we'll move. We move. We move.
yeah. Ardo is saying Slot is making us play too defensive when we were 2 up. We should have thrown in Rio or Chiesa to push them back. Instead, we let them come at us with 9 men. That's an excellent point, Ardo. Excellent point.
Mm,
I
I'll
mean,
cover.
counter it if you like.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry. I'll counter that. Yes, again, Keizo, I agree with that part. And I'm, like I said, and remember, I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm some psychic, but I've been screaming crazes since the most. As soon as January hit this year, he should be picked. But it seems that Plymouth game, he's being punished. I don't know, because it's getting ridiculous now. Look at the injuries we've got. The guy still can't come on. Really?
Mhm.
Really? Really, like as much as I'll be level headed with Slot. That it's just no, it's getting ridiculous now. Chiesa needs to leave for his own good. I'm just dumbfounded by that. But what I will say is to counter that, I don't think Spurs were as much as we could have fixed a Spurs really weren't that much of a threat. Let's be honest. It's only at 2-0 we were cruising. What were they doing? I mean, they weren't a threat. It's only and again similar to the Leeds game when Richarlison scored, then our bums hit the fan and we started panicking. That was the issue. Before then, it's what you were good. Spurs were Spurs really a threat? No, they weren't really. As much as we weren't great, neither were Spurs.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah, still there. Yeah.
Oh,
Still there.
okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to definitely say real quick, congratulations to Sheba. Apparently, him and his wife just had a baby boy last week.
Oh, congrats!
Yeah,
congrats,
another addition
man!
to the family. That's awesome.
Big up, big up, big up. Is that Shiva? Is that your first, or he's got other children?
No, he's got 3. That makes 3.
Oh, 3. Oh, you like me? You got a hat trick. Congratulations!
Yeah,
Welcome to the free club,
he got a hat
Sheba.
trick.
Well done, man. Don't worry, man. Like I said, man. You know what they say? Not that comes in twos, they come in threes. But there you go. Congrats.
Well,
Congrats.
there you go.
Congrats.
Hyler said, I've heard that Plymouth argument earlier, but Arne Slot has been pretty determined not using Chiesa long before that. He swears he has some kind of roller index with excuses for not using Chiesa. Look, tomorrow's episode, if you are a Chiesa fan, tune in tomorrow because we will have I have a segment dedicated to Chiesa for tomorrow's episode. But we can talk a little, we can approach the subject, I don't want to limit you at all. But I'm just telling you, if you are a Chiesa fan, we definitely will want to be a part of that tomorrow. But yes, there are. I can understand what you're saying about the case. I understand what Arto's saying too. I've been, this is a conversation we've had before in Lante, and that conversation was something that I referenced JK in this conversation too, because I know me and JK tend to think similar on this point, and that is this coach tends to. Once he gets, it's almost like a governor. You know how cars have governors? Some cars have governors in them where it limits the speed you can go.
Right.
For some reason in Slot's offense or in his system, it seems like there's a limiter on two goals. We get 2 goals, and then all of a sudden it's okay. That's enough. Wrap it up. We should be able to get to the finish line. A-okay. Whether it's 2-0 or maybe even if it's 2-1, we'll still get there fine and dandy. I made a point, and for instance, where I was in the comments section at least, of one of these other channels, about the fact because he was mentioning in his commentary, and I said, you might not know this, but we have in the last 10 games scored over 2 goals 1 time. Now, I'm not saying that we need to necessarily be 3, 4, 5, 6 goals, something like that, to win games. I get that. We should be able to win a game 1-0 if for that matter. But why I'm bringing up we've only scored in the last 10 games, we've only scored over 2 goals is because even in that game, we led in that game twice and still ended up with a draw in a game that we ended up, and that was the Leeds game where we ended up 3-3. The majority of our games will see us tend to score 2 goals and 2 goals or less. There's no high output of goals. There's no high output of offense. There's no like other. I mean, there's rarely that type of game. And when we do have that type of game, it's been won with a different formation or a different system being utilized, obviously, aka the Frankfurt game or something along those lines. Or it's a situation where even the coach comes out and says, that was the players. That's all on the players. It had nothing to do with the system. Sometimes there's times last season where we got, I think, a 5 goals. The comments that he said last time we played against the Spurs was something that's in he was not expecting that kind of output. You're not expecting that kind of output. Is a very interesting statement to say. But oh man, that's just something I just wanted to get through here. I'll bring in some other comments. Let Nalate have the last word before we move on from this segment. Because I don't know, did you see the press conference, by the way, Nalate? Did you see his press conference?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you think about it? What were your initial feelings towards it?
A bit mixed. I mean, he needed to the fact that he didn't play well, but he's still harping on about, we played well in certain games, we didn't get what we wanted. I mean, the Sunderland game, which again, I don't think we were great. We were fantastic to say, oh damn, shucks, that was a great Liverpool performance,
Mm-hmm.
So I just think he can, he's been, and again, he did admit that he wasn't happy with the way we kind of subsided after the first goal, the last bit of the game, which was good for him to acknowledge. But again, he's saying about wins, he's a bit, I don't know. It's a bit hit and miss again from Slot. This is what you're getting from him now,
Yeah. I don't know if it's related to his confidence or related to him maybe trying to maybe someone advised him to dial back. Because, sometimes he's I know that the premise is Dutch managers tend to be very honest with their opinions. And sometimes, they might say too much, quote unquote, with some of their start honesty. And maybe someone saying, hey, leave them guessing a little bit maybe on some of these subjects. But that was one of the prime reasons why I think yesterday was so animated in a lot of my reactions to some of the other content creators, not everyone, but some of the certain individual content creators that I ended up commenting on their pages with my normal 3, 4, 5 3, 4, 5. Unlike the goals we score, I put 3, 4, 5 paragraphs type responses, little small novels for them to read. I'm sure they don't. I'm sure they look at it and be like, skip. But but still, I think yesterday one of the things that really got all of that really kind of moving in the way that it did was our response after we let in that Richarlison goal. I thought that Richarlison goal was a squad that looked very, very constricted. We looked I would even go as far as maybe we looked, I wouldn't say scared, but we were looking like tight, I guess you could say. I don't know how else to put it. Like, yes, we didn't look comfortable.
It's like, squeaky bum time. That's what it was. Yeah, he did. And even the goal itself, I mean, it's just mind blowing how we've changed from last season to this season. I mean, it was a nothing ball in the box, and again we're losing second balls. We're losing the fight to second balls.
Exactly, yes.
And it's disappointing, and they should be clearing that. And then VVD and Ibu, I mean, more VVD than Ibu. I mean, that swipe was just horrendous. And then he just balled to Richarlison, and obviously he had an easy 5 yard, tap in. So it was a bit ridiculous.
We left too many breadcrumbs. How about that? We left too many
Yeah.
breadcrumbs. You know how pigeons flock the breadcrumbs? We left too many breadcrumbs for the pigeon. Let me see. I saw you bring up a statement. Let me see what you said. Okay, got you, Nante. Let's see. Arto says it's our individual skilled players that are winning us games. I agree with that completely. I agree with that. We've had more. And that's why some of what has been said is, I think it's less. I think yesterday was fantastic. I think why Florian Wirtz, the focus of this show is yesterday we saw a real connection between Wirtz and Isak happen. We saw connections start to develop between individual players to become more of a team concept. And that's something that you have to embrace and be proud and appreciative of. But at times we have seen our team get over the hump or get through these games, not on we're such a fluid moving, well-oiled machine out there. No, it's been individual moments of brilliance, individual skilled players' actions on the pitch that have brought us to get where we're at. Red Armchair Supporter says the mantra should have been "Stop that pigeon now." I agree with that completely on that one too. Oh yes, I will get on that. I saw that article. Hi, Laura. He says I heard a phrase yesterday I haven't heard before. Chiesa's latest role. Do you know what that is? A sub of a sub of a sub. I heard that as well. I did hear that. I did read that article. Like I said, I do read a lot of articles. Do a lot of reading, a lot of content watching as well. And look, yesterday, at what point does we're developing stop being an explanation and start becoming pressure for these players to commit and really deliver? That's a very, very, very good question. Not because I wrote it or made it up, but I think it's just realistically a very good question to be answered. If you have the answer, I'd love to hear it. But that pressure that I'm talking about, that pressure is beginning to land squarely on certain individual players. And those individual players are going to be asked to carry heavy responsibilities. I think that one area of the pitch, okay, big up Andy, by the way, big up, good to see you, my friend. My fellow Red there, good to see you. He's got a jaw injury update. He looked fine enough to be yapping away at the end of that match. I'll tell you that much. But jaw injury. Okay. One person, one player, or one individual, one position on the pitch, I believe, that's going to carry quite a bit of weight. And they all have their own individual, heavy lifting to do. But I believe that our fullbacks is an area of the pitch that we have to re-establish. We've already seen our coach make the decision to not go with veteran play from Robbo as being a more called-on starter to our season. We're going to work Kurtz into the system, Kirkes into the system, work him into learning his role and his place with the club and the likes. It didn't necessarily work out as well in the beginning. We started to rely a little bit on Robbo a little bit more, and now Kirkes has had a few good games, and we're back to now relying on him at the left side. But on that right side, we've had injuries. We've had injuries, and we've had plenty of individuals that we've had individuals and plenty of players have to sub in as stopgaps. Some have become even preferred players, at least by the coach, not by all of us, because I am not in the camp that thinks that Dominic Szoboszlai's future is as a right back. I am not in that camp. I think he's done some good jobs at that position for us. But I won't go as far as to say that his future lies as our starting right back going forward in this team. I think he's a phenomenal midfielder. I think he's a very gifted and talented offensive-minded player that does have the ability to play defense, but also has an incredible tank, an incredible gas tank on him to be able to, obviously go with the type of stamina and endurance that he does on the pitch. But that other role at right back is important. And I think that one of those players that's going to be called on immensely is Conor Bradley. I don't know. You could tell me who you would prefer to have as our starting right back. Let's go under the premise that we're going to go with a back four. And I get that Bradley's injured. Just give me a second. Give me a second. Hi, Laura. Let me just get into the segment. But who is going to be the right back that you would like to see us cater the position towards? We've got Ramsey, who was back with the U21s. He'll probably be called back up, possibly to be a reserve player for us. We've got Frimpong, who apparently has a injury to his jaw, but still a player that we could utilize as either a right back or a right wing back, or possibly even a right wing. We have Joe Gomez, obviously, as a player that you could utilize as a right back. We have Dominic Szoboszlai, possibly as some preferred players right back as well. But we have Conor Bradley as a talent who is starting to, who needs to find rhythm. Because Conor Bradley is a player Liverpool supporters, I believe, want to believe in. I know myself, I want to believe that Conor Bradley could be the future as a right back for this club. And I think he gives us very good reason when we see him play against some of the the greats in the game currently. He's brave, he's intelligent, he plays a personality, purpose, urgency. I get football doesn't care about sentiment, and that primarily it's about availability. But Bradley lasted 45 minutes yesterday. He got another knock, another wait and see, another injury added to a growing list of injuries. But Bradley's had 9 Premier League starts out of 17. But he's had 6 injuries across 2.5 seasons. At some point, the conversation has to mature to a real conversation as to what we're going to do about his availability. And this isn't criticism, again, because you know how I said I want to see Bradley be our right back if we can If we had to choose of the choices that we have, he would probably be the right back that I would choose. But the injuries are troubling. And I'm not writing this player off, but I am saying that is the reality. You cannot build tactically consistency. You can't build tactical consistency when your right back availability changes week to week. You cannot establish pressing triggers or defensive partnerships or attacking with width when the position itself is unstable. And the harsh truth, and like I said, we talk about uncomfortable truths on this channel. The best players don't just perform, they endure through a lot of these knocks. You will not have a player go through an entire season and say that they didn't pick up some type of knock or some type of injury or some type of setback. Bradley, unfortunately, has not shown that type of endurance yet. And I'm not saying, and again, I want to make sure I make this point strong enough to hear, is that doesn't mean he never will. But it does mean Liverpool cannot plan as if he already has. Let me see what you guys are saying. The injuries are annoying. Red Armchair Supporter says he must be so frustrated. I agree. Let me see. The Lone Sheep says, what about the number of minutes Szoboszlai is playing? That is a hamstring injury waiting to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I'm knock on wood there. But obviously, it definitely puts him into an area of concern. I mean, I know that is something that we don't want to see, but as certainly is an area of concern about the number of minutes he's been playing. Look, we'll have minutes off next game, so we don't have to worry about him, taxing his minutes in the next via the next game. He'll have a bit of time off, but it is concerning if the availability for our right back is so in flux. And I don't think that the right back, you could tell me different, but I don't think the right back was a position that we as a fan base were so worried about the stability of. You could tell me who in this is the question I would have for the chat. Who would you have as your starting right back if all candidates were available and healthy? Who would you try to stem the right side of our back line around? I gave you all the candidates. You can even throw Ramsey in there if you like, but Ramsey, Bradley, Frimpong. If you want to put Dominic Szoboszlai in, have at it. Joe Gomez. I mean, you can even throw Endo in there if you like. Curtis Jones, if you want to throw a name in there. All these players have either the potential or have played right back for us in one way or another. I don't even know if you want to put Przetic in there. Stefan. But who is your choice? For Dustin, shout out Dustin. He's saying Frimpong. Red Armchair Supporter is saying Bradley, if he can stay available. Yeah. I think everyone's talking about the midfield. The rest of the chat's talking about the midfield. But that is where I'm asking, or that is one I think fair or unfair, it is a question that you have to ask. Is it, and I'll say, is it unfair to question Bradley's long-term role at the club? Is he a player that we can trust will be more times than not available to play at right back? And I'm hoping he is, but it is a question that is possibly long overdue to be asked, because we need to find someone that can hold down the role and bring some stability to the right side. I don't know if that's an unfair question or not, but I think that it is something. Norm is saying Bradley as his choice. Got you. Let me see. Oh, no worries. Family first, always. But Nolante, now that you're back with us,
Yes.
I'm talking about
Focused.
the right side. I've been focused on the fullback position because I was saying how I think that some roles on this team are going to be called on to take on some heavier responsibilities. I think that the fullback role, a role that was essential to our dominance, if not towards our essentially, our path towards regaining our perch, was through our fullbacks' performance. I understand that Salah, Mane, and Bobby and the likes, like our front line, they got a lot of the pundits, or they got a lot of the praise because they're scoring goals, they're doing this, they're doing that. But we also were blessed to have an era where we had two fullbacks that are now two of the most offensively goal contributive players for the position. In obviously Robbo and the player formerly known as number 66. Not trying to get in trouble by saying his name and triggering some people out there. But let's see. I asked straight out, is it one? I asked these two questions. One, who, if all players were available or were fit and available, who would be your starting right back? And you include all the names: Ramsey, Dominic Szoboszlai, Gomez, Bradley, Frimpong. I'm trying to think some of the other names that have played the role for us. You could put Endo in there if you like. Any of the players that are capable of playing right back, who would be your starting right back if they were fit? And is it unfair to question Bradley's long-term role with this team if he's not going to hold a case of being available?
Yeah, once again, big up everyone in the chat. Hyla, Norm, Red Armchair. Big up everyone. It's a question, it's an interesting one. I wouldn't put Joey because I want, my thing with Joey, for me, he should be our starting centre back alongside VVD. So I'm going to take him out of the equation. So that being said, my starting pilot personally would be Conor. I know Conor is 21 and he's done a lot already in his career. He's the captain of his country. Fantastic for Northern Ireland, And yes, he's had some up and downs this season, but the niggles, is a bit worrying. But I'm not going to go overboard yet. For me, Bradley is better defensively than Frimpong. Frimpong can give a little bit more in attacking sense, but Bradley is good at attack. Frimpong was a better crosser than Bradley's, but for me, it'll be Conor Bradley. But what I do want, and I know Slot do not want to do, I do not. Again, he done it again on Saturday. Don't mix the buzzer by right back. If Ramsey is on the bench, play Ramsey. Just play him. Just play a natural right back. Don't force the issue and play his stopper. What he needs to do, and also for the fact that he needs to drop Mac as well. Mac has been stinking at the place for God knows how long, like Ibu, and they still are in the team. So I don't want to see Domo Sobo touch right back. I want to see Ramsey, but I think all of us know that's not going to happen. So yeah, just to answer your question in a nutshell, Bradley for me will be the starting. I always saw something in Bradley, even when Trent was here. Hints, and again, maybe I'll be proved wrong, and I'll say, and I'll hold my hands up and say, you know, I was wrong that when Trent was there. When Trent, I was thinking if Trent's going to go, I don't mind because we've got Bradley in place. Now, obviously, this is season. Unfortunately, he's had niggles. And he's been had some good games, and he's had some bad games. Maybe people say some more than others, but again, there's a lot of things that have happened factor into it. So, yeah, for me, Conor Bradley, I think he will improve. He will improve and get better.
Okay. 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 Oh, yes. I mean, patience without contingency is planning with negligence, I guess you could say, you know. So that's why I'm asking those questions. I mean, if Bradley can't string together fitness, do you really think Liverpool need to act decisively this summer in figuring out what to do with our right back position to create some stability? I think Frimpong's injury was a very unique one, but you know, a player that utilizes pace and has a muscle injury, that could be a concern in itself. I wish we had Chris Angel on the show. He'd probably get a little bit more in depth with how that all works out and plays out with the way of how long or how often to expect reoccurrences with that. But Bradley's injury raised eyebrows. I guess the other names on our list, because we're gonna do our ER segment, and no, I'm not saying I am George Clooney. I am saying that we are going to go from patient to patient. We're going to go from room to room because we got a few names on our list here. And Alexander Isak's raised alarms. I know that some people in the chat were asking about an Isak update, and there's been whispers of this and whispers of that, and you know, and assumptions of this and some wild assumptions of others. But Alexander Isak gave us a moment yesterday that we are all so proud of him for. He was brave. He was engaged. He looked like the Isak that we've been wanting to see with the finish that he provided in the goal. But unfortunately, our breath was taken away for the wrong reasons. He scored, he celebrated, but he limped off. That sequence alone sums up Liverpool's season. And the relief, I think, should be that they are ruling out an ACL. They're ruling out an ACL.
Yeah.
And that was immediate. There were people that were saying it's ACL, it's MCL, it's crucial limit. That's important. Yeah, go ahead, Nalante. You want to say?
No, it's true because of the way everyone is lying on the floor with his knee. Yeah, like you said, the ACL came, jumping the gun. You know, it's ACL, but that's proven not to be the case. You know, I think him hobbling off, see, not ideal, was a good sign that there's more to it. You know, so yeah. So, but unfortunately, he's going to miss out, and it just like I said. And the combination, that's all what we've been waiting for. Wirtz has been, the combination, Ekitike, Wirtz, Isak, that's what we've been waiting for. That was a beautiful goal. Beautiful combination, but it is what it is. So we just need to, and then we can stop. Obviously, it's not the be and end who can stop this, like, 0011 or 0012, no goals, 0 assists, That can finally stop.
That can finally stop, actually.
Yeah, criticism. Yeah. But what it says, he's trending up, but we need more. And it's not being biased because, end of the day, the same as Nunes, Diaz, all these players, when they came in, and as like I said, of course, we're going to give them time. We just need more. Like now, Nketiah has been brilliant in the last couple of games, and he's the one who had a question mark. He's either going to be good, I wasn't sure, or you could struggle. and he stepped up. So we just need him to
He
continue
stepped
to
up
do it.
massively.
And Wirtz's form is slowly getting there. We need him to continue. And the man that you're going to talk about in tomorrow's episodes, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know what next. Maybe we should wait 999 call, like 99 call. This is an Elante to the Liverpool football ground. Can you PC officer, can you get a man called Italian man called Frederick Reza under house arrest, not being released to play his natural game on the pitch? I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know what
That'd be
else.
cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I know I'll leave that for tomorrow. Now you got a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
segment
yeah.
tomorrow, but we'll skip that. But yeah, so yeah, let's see. Obviously, he's going to be out for a while, so hopefully Isak and the likes of others can step up. And it's going to be. And again, he doesn't deserve to play. Right now, I would play Trey Nyoni instead of McAllister. Can you imagine me saying that about a year ago? Trey Nyoni, I would rather trade than McAllister. People will think I've gone in the loony bin, but I'm so
Hmm.
fed up with McAllister right now.
Hmm.
I'd rather Trey, and he's got energy. He's young. Yeah, he'll probably make mistakes, but he'll give us more right now.
I get that. I get that. I get
Yeah.
that. Uh. Yeah, oh shoot. Well, I do. I did have something else to say about Isak, but real quick, just on your McAllister point. So wait, you would rather see Trey Nyoni? I get that, but would you? But Trey Nyoni, just like you said, is going to make mistakes. He's young. He's going to have to, and the likes. But are you going to be more forgiving of Trey Nyoni making those mistakes than a McAllister making those mistakes, or making not the same mistakes, but making mistakes, period? Would you be more forgiving because that you'd rather say, okay, well, rather than have someone that just gets it done, you're still going to be open to Trey Manili having some wiggle room to make mistakes like that?
Yeah, I would
Is that how far you
because
would go with
I,
it?
I would because he's shown that he's got glimpses of, there's a player that he can, time until McAllister wakes up, remember who he is, looks in the mirror and means he's the Premier League winning, World Cup winning, one of the best midfielders in Europe. Alex McAllister, till he wakes up, remembers who he is. Then Trey, yeah, we did, but he'll give me more effort. He'll give me no panache. He'll give me something different. He's hungry. It's like Rio, the young bucks. They're
Okay.
hungry,
Okay.
and right
Just
now we
wondering.
need a little
It's just
bit.
a question.
Yeah,
A little bit. Go ahead. Finish talk.
yeah. So I said
You need a
we
little
need
bit
a
of
bit
what?
of that in there's certain points where we're struggling a bit. Slobo, he's been great. He's gone off the ball a little bit, and McCann, he's just not doing it, and he keeps on getting picked. He's
Yeah.
just not doing it. He keeps on getting picked, which is just dumbfounding, really. And we know, why Slot is a certain man that who should have been starting a long time. And this now, you know what? I'm gonna stop. I don't want to go back to the Italian because you've got your thing.
Okay. Okay.
I'll hold it
Okay.
back. Let me
Well,
tighten
I
it. Let
mean,
me
like
tighten
that's
it.
the thing of the
Yeah,
that's the thing about. I mean, like,
yeah,
I thought it was a relief to hear that it wasn't ACL or a
yeah, yeah.
knee-related injury like that. I was, or at least that wasn't the immediate concern, because the fear that followed was just as real with that. I mean, we had, everyone was thinking it's a serious lower leg injury. He's out for possibly months. I remember a friend of the channel was the streets where it was saying he's going to be out for 9 months. That's basically saying he's going to be out for the entire season. Sudden Liverpool striker depth would have been seriously impacted by that, and we would look incredibly thin up front, having solely to rely on Hugo primarily as our striker. With Salah at AFCON, Cody unavailable, Hugo Ekitike would have stood alone up top. And that's not, again, a slight on Hugo. It's not saying he can't weather that weight, but because he's been excellent. I think he's been actually he's been the most top performing performer in our front line, actually. But football seasons are marathons, not auditions, and this isn't about blaming recruitment or even luck. It's about structural exposure. When one injury can shift your entire attacking outlook, you're operating with margin for error. And what it means is we need to figure out now we went heavy with the offensive acquisitions. But does Isak's injury maybe force Liverpool's hand in January to go out and make a offensive weapon a priority? I'm asking that question. I'm asking that to the chat. I'm asking it to Nalante. Does it mean that if Isak is out, I mean, it looks like he's going to be possibly out for at least some period of time. Does it mean that we need to go into this January window and get reinforcements for our front line? And why I'm also asking that question is, does that disappoint you? Because guess what? It does for me. I know this Emmanuel talk is very big. I know, people are talking about us going into the market, trying to bring in the player. I'm not saying the player's not talented and the likes, but I want to see I personally want to see our top priority in the January window. If we are to make any acquisitions, I would like to see that be a center half. I would like to see us go in and bring in a center back as a priority. I would also like to see us even emphasize maybe getting a DM so we can start to bring some real transition and change, and especially if we're going to go to a single, a diamond with a single DM, to bring in another choice so we can rotate or give Gravenberch some type of relief at that role as well. And having to emphasize going into this January window to get a center forward, or bring in another offensive striker that is versatile enough to play across the line, that could be concerning, because there was a statement put out there, I think it was by Slot, that said those people that think that Liverpool have an endless bank account to bring in, I'm paraphrasing, an endless bank account to just keep bring in all these 80, 90, 100 million pound players, you are definitely kidding yourself. So, is that a concern? Would you be upset if we had to possibly choose, or maybe not necessarily just completely, or choose, or maybe soften our approach for a big time heavy hitter in the January window, simply because now we have to allocate funds towards a striker? Would you be disappointed in that, Nalante? Or would you be disappointed in the chat? I'll ask the chat too. Let me see. Hyler's saying, with the importance and money flow from the Champions League, can we not afford spending in January? Meaning the emphasis of getting into the top four, or maybe even winning the Champions League. Red Armchair supporter saying, a versatile forward who can cover several positions would be more likely. That's probably the direction we might go in the actual January window. Slot can say that, but we know. He says Norma's saying Slot can say that, which is what I just said about the endless bank, bank reserves. But he said he can say that, but we know the money is there for Gahey. That's a spot on comment. That is true. We need to shore up the defense as lone sheep. Red Armchair supporter also said, we just spent $450 million, so there can't be loads left. And I agree, there can't be that much left in the budget. A center back and a CDM are both needed. I could see that. Hyler says our team right now isn't a top 4 team, and adding all the injuries to that and the workload going forward with possible workload going forward with would possibly add risk of more injuries. We really should do something in January. And then finally, Norm says, I think we can get Gehi and Semenyo. He thinks the money is there for both of them. Okay. I hope that you're right, Norm. I hope that you're right. I certainly hope that you're right. Because hoping the problem solves itself rarely works. I'll tell you that right now. We rarely see that be the process of solution. So, where are we at? I know you guys have been talking about the midfield, so let's just talk about that. We'll go from attack to midfield, where another experienced voice has quietly disappeared from the conversation. And I know that a lot of you are talking about getting a DM and about us needing a player and talking about Gravenberg and the likes. And that name that I'm talking about is a name that a player I love seeing wear the red kit, and a player that I know a good number of you really enjoy seeing as a possible cult hero. But Wataru Endo is now stated to not be returning to playing availability until mid-January. So there's another at least 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, good 2-3 weeks that we will be without. Actually, definitely good 3 weeks. It'll be 3 weeks at least that we will be without Wataru Endo. Even if he was fit, would he be playing? I know that's an even bigger question. He's had 44 minutes this year. 44 Premier League minutes in 5 appearances. I don't think that's trust in the player, unfortunately. And I think it tells you a lot about Arne Slot's belief and reliance on Endo as being an option. Now, I think, despite I know I just saw the comment in the chat. I think, despite what some people do say, I think Endo offers control. I think he offers experience. I think he offers game management. These are all things Liverpool often look short of late in matches. That's why he's often been the very few minutes that he's been offered have been minutes where we've been trying to either establish, if not retain, just those things. And I know people might say he's not good on the ball. I disagree. I think that he is good on the ball. Endo plays, if you watch him, especially for Japan, but because that's one of the few places that you're going to actually see him get a real run when he was healthy, at least. A player that you're going to see. That was one of the few pitches that you're going to actually get to see him get a significant run, whether close to, if not a 90-minute run. And what Endo does or tends to do is he tends to not hold on to the ball by, what for instance, Curtis Jones was talking about. Endo is the type of player that will recover. He'll find an outlet and quickly pass it to that player, which is what most people would want to see out of a destroyer / DM. But Slot prefers energy and youth, obviously. That's why he's going with Jones. That's why he's going with Gravy. And that's his right as the coach. But you do have to say, when a manager repeatedly overlooks experience during turbulent moments, is that more of a philosophical choice? Well, not really coincidence. At 32, Endo's clock is ticking for him being a viable selection for our club. His contract runs out in 2027. But football contracts don't guarantee football futures. We all understand this. Because he has a contract to 2027 doesn't mean that he's at the level to play until 2027. And if his minutes don't increase post-injury, unfortunately, the writing may already be on the wall. I would like to see us get more out of Endo. And I think that what's unique about some of the criticisms for Endo, in my perspective, is that a lot of these opinions were the opinions when we first got Endo. And I think Wataru had to slowly but surely chip away at answering the critics who thought that he was not the level or not the quality of player that could offer contributions to this club. And eventually, via injury or also via availability and the likes, even Klopp softened his approach towards not giving him a chance and began to start the player. And at some point, he was one of our most he was one of the sharpied in players in our team. But I think that Slot possibly, and you could tell me different, Slot probably has decided that Endo doesn't fit his vision. We all know that. And managers do that by telling us in the minutes they offer to players. But we'll see. We'll see. What are you guys saying? Norm is saying he personally felt that Endo should have come on in the last 20 minutes of games. More last it just popped up. Let me just get the statement back here. More last season, Maka was shattered. No worries, Norm. Appreciate you tuning in, even on your phone here. Lone Sheep says NECDM. Endo is not good on the ball. He has experiences. He gives them that, but over 90 minutes in the Prem, it's a different story. That's only this season, by the way. It's not his. He doesn't have 90 minutes in Premier League. I think. Let's see. What Endo does offer, Norm says, is legs, and that's what left Maka from March on. That's what left Maka from March onwards. Lone Sheep is saying that he's still that he does. It's not that he doesn't appreciate Endo. We see that. That's appreciative to see. Adam Wharton is going to cost over $100 million. Quick question to the chat. And then Latte, when you're ready, this would take your mute off or
Yeah.
Okay, you're ready. Okay, just making sure. Would you spend 100 M's for Adam Wharton?
No. Here's the answer.
Okay, I see. Would anyone in the chat spend at least? I mean, he's Lone Sheep saying he's going to cost over 100 M's. I mean, I I don't know what the price is going to be exactly for him.
No, I
But I
don't.
know that Crystal Palace does rate him as highly as a million plus pound player. Would you spend 100 M's on? Would you spend 100 million on Adam Wharton? Is my question for the chat. Then I see Norm says no. I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. I would not either. I know someone that would possibly. I'm not going to speak for him completely, but I know someone that loves himself some Adam Wharton. But
Oh yeah, he's the Adam Wharton fan club. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he's open to other players as well. I know that he's open to Baleba. He's open to other options at DM. I'd rather see a name. There's a name out there that I didn't include in these segments, but there's a name. I'll ask you. There's a name that I prefer, to tell you the truth, and it's not Baleba, by the way. It's not Baleba. I wasn't going to say that, but I can ask the chat their opinion. If we were to put together a war chest, right? And I'll include Baleba, since Norm just included Baleba, saying he thinks Baleba has better balance than Wharton, and how Wharton he thinks is all left foot. I'll ask you this question then. If we put together a war chest to go after a DM, and I saw that was very, very, very in fashion in the chat, the conversation about DMs. And we had enough money to either go for Baleba, Wharton. I wasn't going to put Stiller in there. I don't know how much Stiller would cost. He'd probably be about in that range too. I don't know if Stiller is on the move any longer or not, but I'm just going to say I'm just going to go with players that I know were or have been in the media conversation about possibly being on the move at some point, whether January or if not summer. Would you rather go for Wharton, Baleba, or a player that I spoke on earlier this year, because we were possibly looking to move for the player or make an offer for a player? I think there was possibly even an offer or an exploration offer out there. Or would you be open to bringing Camavinga? I personally, I rate Camavinga. I love Camavinga as a player. I think he's a talented young player, and I think that he would be a phenomenal player to either share the pivot with Gravy, or maybe even platoon with Gravy at a DM role. I know Tuchemani. I don't think Tuchemani is on the move anymore, really. But who would you of those three? I'm just going to give those three because I know there's plenty other. There might be other options out there. Stiller, Tuchemani, I know, but I'm just saying from those three, who would you prefer? Baleba, Wharton, or Camavinga? I'm asking. That's just a question of the chat. After we get an answer, I'll move on to the next segment, but because I'm gonna talk about a player that Malante was just talking about, but. Lone Sheep is saying Kone. He wasn't one of the options, but okay.
No.
Kone. Yeah. Or Camavinga, if he's an option. He is an option, apparently. He is someone that Liverpool have been exploring the option of getting. Norm thinks even though Elliot Anderson is now being touted for. I know that is true. The fact that Elliot Anderson is being labeled as a £100 million player shows the market. Yeah,
happens all the time. A year of good play, the England player gets overhyped.
Yeah,
Norm. So yeah, but it's wild. He's good, but he's a good player, but he's wild. 100, yeah.
So wait, those three. Out of those three, I've only gotten one answer so far from the chat. You can tell me. Camavinga was the answer of those three names.
I think
Wharton, Baleba, or Camavinga.
I'll pick Baleba.
Okay.
I would pick Baleba, to be honest. I think Baleba's form has dipped a little.
Why would you? Yeah, why would you?
I think Baleba's form has dipped a little bit due to the speculation, which can happen at most players. But I think he's a powerful presence. He's a good tackler, and he can improve. No, he's not a passer in the terms of a Walton and kind of thing in that stuff, but he's decent. And I think he's there, and he can get some goals for us. So yeah, Baleba would be my choice. He's suited for our team in the Premiership, and will be him sitting or rotating and Grav. We could do bits. We could definitely do bits, but that's just my opinion anyway.
Okay. I see Norm has chosen Baleba. I know that's a joke. Lavia. Let's see how they're saying. Adam Morton ticks all the boxes. No need to argue more about that. Good luck finding another defensive midfielder with that profile. So I take it out of the three. You would pick Wharton. I'm taking it. All right. It was just a question. Only question. I personally rate Camavinga enough that I would go for Camavinga. But you mentioned Trey Nyoni. He had his, I guess you'd call it his Premier League debut for Arne Slot, really. And it wasn't tactical. It was more symbolic. It's an 18-year-old stepping on the pitch in a moment that mattered. So Slot was pretty protective of the player. He said he's development focused with the player. He says he's sensible, or that approach is a sensible approach, because youth development isn't about throwing kids into fires. It's about timing. We've been fortunate that some of our players, our youth academy players, have been able to step up and make some real adult type progress. But Nyoni shouldn't be the solution to any injury crisis. Technically, I think maybe for others he is, but opportunity doesn't always ask for permission. And without Endo out, rotations thin, minutes start stacking up. Maybe this is a pathway for Nyoni to start seeing minutes in this team. That's a real question. Which you've already given your answer. You said you would trust in Nyoni. You would, rather than try to protect him and his journey towards being a Premier League player. Correct, Malante? Right?
Yeah. Trey, but again, we'll see where he's in 2 years' time. That will be the key for me. Because if he's not getting the games, then it's just a waste of his time. So I'm skeptical, but we'll see. We shall see. But just quickly back to the DM scenario. If Stefan Bajcetic was fully fit and rearing to go, then this wouldn't even be a conversation.
It wouldn't be. Probably wouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's a frustrating injury.
Yeah. It's just
frustrating. I don't know what it is actually at this point. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very sad, but yeah.
Talking about Premier League proven players and everything, those players that certainly answers a lot of, or checks a lot of those boxes. Harvey Elliott, I believe, will return to Liverpool. I think that the fact that
he's going to return.
I think the fact that Villa is obviously shown that they're not going to utilize the 35 million that is associated with his transfer, and that he doesn't necessarily fit completely into the system that Emery has for Villa, and that Villa, I think primarily because Villa is playing well right now. Villa is. Would you consider Villa a contender, a title contender?
No, but I'll rate them. I've always Villa a good team. They're a very good team. But if we're talking about end of March going into April, they're still there, then yes. But right now, no.
Okay.
But they're doing bits. They're doing bits.
They're doing bits. I'm gonna pull up the standings real quick here.
Yeah. I think, was it?
They are 3 points off the 3 points off the lead.
Yeah. Morgan Rogers is cooking. So bargain signing from
Rogers
Emery.
is cooking.
Oh, yeah, 10 million from Championship Middlesbrough. Good player, man. Very good.
Too early? Is it too early to call? I wouldn't say call him a flop because he's not a flop. But is it too early to say that maybe we avoided a bad decision to invest as much as United did in Euro? Because Euro's been thrown. I was listening to some of the Manchester United channels out there, and they were throwing Euro under the bus for his performance today.
He got taken to the cleaners. Yeah.
Do you think there's a player there? Do you think there's a real player there?
Euro, yeah, potentially. I mean, the Premiership is not forgiving, and the Man United team is not stable, so it really is not the right fit for him. But he made the decision.
Is it maybe because he's playing in a back three instead of
no, I probably,
or that
I
might be
think,
more. I'm just asking if I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch Euro play in France too much.
Yeah. No, he's mixed up in fours and threes, so I don't think it's that. Maybe it's just again more money and United. Maybe he sold the dream. He definitely was sold the dream. In the words of Biggie, it was all a dream.
I think it's a lot of the money too. It's like you
said. Yeah,
but,
the money. Yeah, it was suspenders in it, but yeah, United aren't stable, and all the defenders are bang average, so it's not really the right team to help him to fit.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it anyway. I'm loving it. Yeah, keep it going, United.
No,
Norm.
I got you.
Norm, X-rated Norm. No, Norm. Behave yourself, Norm.
Yeah, what's interesting in some of the commentary that I did hear about, and I'm gonna go into. I have just one final segment here, but and it's the main topic too. But before we go, what's interesting about the commentary that I was hearing, and I listened to the Football Terrace is a more Manchester United or centered channel out there, even though they do say that they cover all the games, all the teams, and and it's always not, and sometimes not even just Premier League. They cover teams sometimes even outside of that. But what I noticed in their conversation initially was they were angry, or at least Terry was angry about losing to Villa. And why I found that was a head scratcher for me is because Villa is a better team than Manchester United. You could maybe even argue on paper they are a better team than Manchester United. But they're certainly a better coached And they are also possibly very easily a more congealed, more together team that has bought into the coach's system to get them results. Today's game saw the goals in today's games were definitely some individual brilliance by Villa. Obviously, you talk about Morgan Rogers. Rogers had an absolute really, really, really good goal that opened up the scoring. And then the Manchester United goal was a gift. I don't know what Cash was thinking, but he ends up losing the ball, and it conveniently falls right at the feet of Cunha, and he ends up putting in a very good, well taken goal. But is that wrong to think that, or am I right in thinking that Villa is a better team? We all know it. You can easily say it by the table. We understand that, but do you not agree that Villa is a better team than Manchester United? Like, as in, it sounds like Terry is going off of, at least that from my interpretation he's thinking we're Manchester United, we should be better than Villa, as opposed to we're Manchester United, or he's Manchester United. I don't want to make sure people think I'm saying that about me. So he's Manchester United, or they're Manchester United, and they should be better than Villa, as opposed to they're Manchester United and they aren't better than Villa. Is that too crazy to think?
No, Villa have been better for me. United the last 2 seasons, 2 to 3 seasons, but obviously United's on the board for Ten Hag won a cup. But yeah, Villa are better than United, though, without a doubt. Or question, they got a better manager, the team's more structured, player for player. You might have certain conversations, maybe some players United, you could have a discussion, but as a team, they're better, Well-oiled, well-rounded. Emery's got the cooking, playing some great stuff, and some decent signings as well. So yeah, man, like I said, Villa, man.
I think other than Bruno, there's really I don't think there's anyone on Manchester United where I would say they are hands down better at the position than what Villa has in the counterpoint, possibly. But it's just a question of conversation, I guess. It's a matter of opinion. Big up to the fake pundit out there. Big up to you. Yeah, there was another point about that match, about what he said that really made me scratch my head. Let me think of it real quick. He mentioned about I told you how he was disappointed about. This was it. Because people were bringing up Emery and how well Emery is doing. Look, one thing I can say, and that is, people were trying to say that they're making the Emery versus Arteta comparison. Okay, I personally think that Emery is a better coach than Arteta, to be honest with you. You can have an argument as to Arteta has certainly started to raise the level of performances for Arsenal since his tenure there. But I still think that if the commitment had been given, the same commitment had been given to Emery, I think that Arsenal would possibly be further along than they are currently with Arteta. That's just my opinion. I know there's no way of really, being able to, crystal ball that, or back Back to the Future, get in the DeLorean and understand and figure if that's true or not. But that, in your opinion, do you think that if Emery had the budget that Arteta has at Arsenal, would he be able to achieve more, do you think? Because I think that's where we're at right now. I think if Villa had the same budget as Arsenal, I think that Villa would be also be further along than they actually are right now. I think Emery, I'm just trying to say, I think Emery has done more with less than Arteta has done with more. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, to a sense, yeah. It depends. You can flip it on both sides, innit? Yeah. Just unfortunately, well, then again, but I'd say I won the FA Cup. But again, on the flip side, people had to deal with Slot, but he did, as much as I can't stand him, they'll say, oh, but it's Emery's team. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen. In terms of the Premier League, oh yeah, it's a tight one, isn't it?
I mean,
asked.
Emery does have some major trophies under his belt.
Oh yeah, no, he's clear as a manager. I'm just talking about in the Premier League. He's a manager and trophy. Yeah, he's clear, but I'm just talking about in the Premier League. The scenario since he's been at Villa and obviously Coleman at Arsenal, who would have done better. It's a tight one. It's a tight one, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But as a manager, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's clear. Like I said, if Slot were to go tomorrow, he'd be my first choice.
Yeah. I think Emery's a very, very structurally talented coach. That's like he'll bring a real solid structure of what his team needs to be about. He'll get rid of. He'll work with the players that are going to buy into the system. And those that aren't. I'm not saying that. Also, this is not saying that Harvey Elliott doesn't want to buy into the system or something. But I'm talking about like the player, the Colombian striker that was
Duran.
a good player. Yeah, but ended up having to be shipped out simply because of him and the coach didn't necessarily see eye to eye on a lot of different points. Villa will keep this. If Villa keep this up, we can. I'm sorry. Villa keep this up. They can compete, but we will see what happens with us in the business end and what we can win. Fake pundit says, okay. Lone Sheep says he is an underdog manager. In his opinion, he could be wrong, but he's definitely quality. Let's see. Okay, that's all we're talking about. And that is relevant to what we were just saying. Let me get into this last segment then. In the comments section, if you're watching this on the replay, or there's over 75 people in the chat. So it might be, again, you might be on X, if you're on X, definitely watch this on YouTube and leave a comment, hopefully leave a like, subscribe to the channel. But if you're watching on X, you can drop me a line on X through my through the channel page on there too. And if you're on YouTube, obviously, hopefully you've already liked, you already dropped that like from the gate, and be sure to subscribe and join the community. We are here to have conversations, people, and honest ones too. Sometimes hard-hitting ones, sometimes difficult ones, but all the same conversations that we can create a discourse between us to be able to get to some real valued opinions. I wanted to talk about Florian Wirtz. You can obviously see that I am very bullish on Flo. I think Flo is the player. Big up, Norm. Big up. Big up. Big up. Fake pundit too. Thank you for the love there. And what I was saying is, I think that Flo needs to be the fulcrum of our team. And what I mean by the fulcrum is he needs to be the player that we funnel our offense through. Now, I'm looking at it as a front three. And when I say front three, I'm including the 10 as a part of the front three. But what I am saying is I would like to see a front three of Wirtz, Ekitike, and Isak. We might not be able to be afforded that with the injury. I get that. But Flo has to be the guy. Florian Wirtz didn't just get an assist yesterday. He held Liverpool together. I saw some statistics on Twitter, or X, excuse me, that talked about his 105 touches. Let me repeat that. He had 105 touches in that match. And in those 105 touches, he was still able to complete 91% of his passes. He had defensive contributions. He had off the ball intelligence. This wasn't a flash. This was function. Conjunction, junction. What's your function? It is flow. He drifted. He demanded the ball. He pressed. He connected. And more importantly, when Wirtz took the ball, Liverpool made sense. That's what elite players do. They reduce chaos. And here's the truth. Liverpool's future, with or without Slot, has to be built around Florian Wirtz. I know that there's been talk about the Bild, I guess it's BILD. It's a paper or magazine in Germany, was trying to push this narrative that Mohamed Salah was uncomfortable with Florian Wirtz being the man and being, the focus of Liverpool. But I think he's already making a strong call to be that man for us. And now that Salah is off to AFCON, would you go as far as to say that Florian Wirtz is our most important player to have in form?
Yeah.
That's why you would say, okay. You would say that?
Yeah. No, 100% of his form's getting better. In terms of games, he's getting more influential in the games, last 3 or 4, more like it, and finally got the monkey off his back in PL. But like I said, again, we need more. He started slow, and of course, you give him time, and obviously, you're going to give him time. But yeah, let his form. But yeah, we need him to dictate. Again, he is what he is, and we need to let him play like Slot has alluded to. I don't want to see him on the left, but if needs be in emergency, then fine. Just put him in the 10 and let him roam. Let him do his thing. But I think now he's getting a bit better in terms of knowing teammates a little bit. Link ups and touches, with Ekitike, some, good link up play with, so he's getting more customized. He just needs to do more. He just, want to get his goals and assists up, But yeah, the last couple of games, he's definitely going to be key for us his next couple of games still. And hopefully we'll maintain this little unbeaten run, So, yeah, so.
What would you be? Here's a question. I have a question for the chat, and no matter what account you're on, Retro LFC or any of you guys out there that are showing the love by being subscribed to this channel, what would be if you had to bring a front three? And I mean like having a 10, at least a 10, okay, being looked at as being a part of the front three. Okay. And you're going to play with 2 forwards in the team. What would be what would be that triangle for you? What would be that triangle?
What?
And I'll
Was
even
it?
give you the levity of definitely a friend of both of ours, Cal, from Coppish, brought up his scenario would be that he would play with two tens and have a sole striker. So he would play basically a 4-5-1, I believe, would be what he would be playing with in his premise, and have two tens in the formation. So if you want to bring, no matter how it is, you can have a triangle that has a point player being the 10, or you could have a triangle that has a point player being the center forward. But I'm asking, what would your front line look like? Who would be the offensive triangle that you'd utilize in the middle of your team if you're putting together a lineup? And then definitely elaborate why in the latte.
So you're saying in that context, not like a basic 4-3-3, but in that context.
Right. Yeah. Not in a 4-3-3 as in like
Yeah,
we're
but
used
with the
to.
two behind the one.
Yes. Either a
Um,
2 behind the 1 or a single 10 and having 2 strikers in front of him.
single 10.
Because
Yeah.
the question got asked. The numbers people that are utilizing this, you could have Salah, Eke, TK, and I'm trying to think some of the combos they put out there. Salah, Eke, TK, and Wirtz, or it could be Wirtz, Eke, TK, Isak, or it was a couple different scenarios. Maybe you want Cody in there. Maybe you'd like to see Cody be in the center forward. I don't know.
Nah.
Not saying you do. Not saying
I
you
know.
do.
I know. You just giving food for thought.
Yeah,
I get it.
just give me scenarios.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. 12 Gakpo. I get it. 12 Gakpo. I get you. I get you.
Yeah. There you
Um,
go.
it's the conundrum
Maybe
that Chiesa could, but if we're saying everyone's available and fit, then he does. I like Chiesa, but he doesn't get in. Again, it's the Mo conundrum, as Slot has found. That's the thing. You know what? I know what it would be, but so are you saying everyone's
I know.
fit?
Hey,
Everyone's
everyone's
fit.
fit.
Everyone's on
fit.
form. Yeah.
Yep. You can do both scenarios or not, but it doesn't matter. This just for right now, we're doing everyone's fit.
Everyone's fit. Oh,
Ideally, everyone's fit.
this is an
Ideally,
interesting one.
what
It's
would
the
be
Mo
your
conundrum.
what would be your scenario, right? Or your three.
The three. Ooh. You know what, Mo? Thank you, brother. Appreciate everything you've done for the club, Mo. But you have to hold bench. It'll be Wirtz, Hugo, and Isak.
So it'd be, you said Isak. I cut out a little bit. Isak,
Hugo, and Wirtz.
Wirtz, and Hugo. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's my triangle. The triangle that I would like to utilize would be the same.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a 2 striker scenario be the option that we went with, and have Wirtz be the main player in that 10 role that feeds those players.
Yeah.
Would you be against it? Would you be against Cal's suggestion, which I didn't really think about the 2 10s role being utilized, but he was offering the suggestion of Florian Wirtz and Mohamed Salah playing as 10s, and then having Hugo Ekitike as the point. I think that's
I
what he said.
mean, yeah, I mean, could work. I mean, Mo hasn't played that role for a while. But I mean, in his age,
He does play for Egypt. For Egypt, he does play the 10.
yeah, Egypt, he just kind of plays over, right, left. He plays all over, really. But I mean, yeah, it could work.
He's a roamer. He's
Yeah,
not
Egypt.
a
He's just,
rigid.
yeah,
Rigid
he's just
10,
yeah.
a
Yeah, it could
roaming
work.
roaming 10.
He's got the play to do it. He's got the talent to do it. It could work. So maybe I'm just pushing more for the future, maybe. But
Mhm.
again, I wouldn't be mad. But oh God, right now form wise, Hugo. But if they're fit, Isak over Hugo for me.
Mm.
If they're fully fit, they're ready to go. Isak over Hugo for me. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's options. It's a food for thought. But it's the options you want to have, which we were so happy in August to have. But yeah.
Mhm. Um, okay, I see Fake Pundit saying he would go Isak the striker. He would go, or wait, he'd have the left forward would be Isak, the right forward would be Salah, and then Wirtz could be the cam. That's another scenario too. Salah's played striker for us before. Um, he has played striker for us early on. He played center. He was playing a more central role in a couple of different scenarios.
Yeah.
I know that I spoke about it with Norm. I said that personally, I think I'm not in that Jamie Carragher camp saying, "Oh, Mohamed Salah's legs are gone." I'm not sitting there with a stopwatch, clock, timing his 40s. But I will go as far as to say his success rate at taking on fullbacks has dipped, and that's concerning. And rather than continue to place him out on that wing role, and possibly, flooding those channels with him trying to make runs into against fullbacks, I was thinking that the reason why what I was thinking is bring him central, bring him towards that 10 role, make him like you could utilize Wirtz or you could utilize Salah in that role. Maybe even bring back Harvey Elliott to have more depth at that role and have options. Maybe have the option. Maybe if Harvey Elliott did return, the scenario that Cal brought up could be more of a palatable option. Maybe
It would, but Slot's made his mind up sadly for Harvey, and him going back, he's just going to go out again. I would love to see it. I think he could play ball, but it's just Slot let him go for a reason. So he'll come back. I doubt it, unless we had more injury crisis. Then yeah, but yeah, sadly, I think Harvey's time is done, which is sad. The Mo thing. I think this. I mean, regardless, this should be Mo's last season as a winger. I think, yeah, you're right. I think it's more now to move him more infield. But at the same time, if I want Slot to stick to his guns, I know he performed well when he came on before, some hunger. But I want to, if let's just say the team's doing well, and Mo comes from AFCON, I don't want him to really put him straight in. So, but I think if from now to when he comes back to the end of the season, Mo is in and out of the team due to not for anything but the players that have come in the absence of doing well. I think he just leaves the club, and that's fine with me. Because at the
Do
end
you
of the
think
day,
Mohamed Salah just leaves? You just think he just
I think so. Yeah,
in
because
January?
I think so. Yeah, at the end of the season
Oh
because
wow! Here, breaking news, people! Breaking news. Nante put himself out there. Okay.
yeah, because I've seen this again with Gerard under Rogers. Brendan. Brendan said, "Look, we want you your contract, but you're not going to start every game because he was past it, and he couldn't. In great pains, he just can't accept it."
And look at the issue Mo has created with more stuff on top. Of course, within reason, but I've not played 3 games, and look at the fuss he could kick up on. So let's just say Slot sticks to his guns. He's,
What team does he start? Like I know, and this isn't a knock against Salah, and I'm just spitballing this idea out there. Where does Salah start?
Well, in any team in Europe,
in Europe, and I'm talking about big teams. I'm not
yeah,
obviously
big
Salah
teams.
start at if you want the Sunderland or something, or I'm not saying Sunderland isn't a big team, but I'm saying or like a if you went to Aston Villa or something like that, he would start for Villa. I'm sure probably too. But what teams would say we're going to sit the current right winger other than maybe and be a viable option for him? Because Manchester City would probably do it. But he's not going to Manchester City.
No, I think Madrid, because they'll play Mbappe.
I don't think Madrid would do it.
For me, he's
they play two up front now.
But no, sometimes they play 4-3-3 as well. Don't
Sometimes,
forget.
you're right.
Yeah.
Very true.
So he could, because he's better than Rodrigo for me. Vinny plays on the left, Mbappe through the middle, Salah on the right. Yeah, I mean, there's Gula that can play there if needs be. Do a little, but he can start for them.
You think he could start? You think he could and would start for Real Madrid?
Yeah, 4-3-3. Yeah, he could. Yeah, I think so. If they change the formation from that, then it's a different question.
Yeah, I think that Real Madrid, a lot of the last couple of games they played Real. I've seen that he's been playing a 4-4-2. Not saying that he wouldn't change his lineup or he hasn't changed his lineup. I'm just saying lately they've been playing with that. Let me say, like against Sevilla, they had a 4-3-3 with Rodrigo, right? Up top. Against, I don't know. They played the last one before that. I think they played a 4-4-2. Hold on. My point is, I don't think Barcelona is changing their lineup to fit him in.
Nah.
I don't think that, he's not going to Bayern Munich and starting. I don't think he starts over Elise, despite the fact that I think that I'm not saying, and again, this is not me saying that Salah isn't as talented, if not more talented than these players. I just think that they have more invested in keeping the path and keeping those players happy.
Yeah,
let's see, against Tavera. Who else did they play? They play Endrick up with in against that team. That would be taking away his ability to get into the lineup, I guess, too. Okay, and then against Deportivo Alves, they played a 4-4-2. So you're right. I wasn't disputing that you were that they don't play a 4-3-3. That you were right about that, but they sometimes do play a 4-4-2. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't remembering, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played against Deportivo. They played a 4-4-2. When they do that, they play with a midfield of Rodrigo, Guler, Tuchemeni, and Bellingham, and then they'll put Junior and Mbappe up front as the striker options. I might bring that up because I just think that Liverpool is the best. I think Liverpool is the best suited place for Salah to be, for him to not only get playing time, but for him to thrive in currently. I don't think that's disrespectful. I don't think that's disrespectful at all. That's, if anything, saying that we need him or could use him. It's just a matter of, finding a suitable role. I mean, some players have had to move to different positions, as time moved on, right?
Yeah.
I
That's
know John Barnes is a player that comes to mind, for other reasons. I understand his is a little bit more injury related, but he was still, it wasn't like he moved to the midfield and wasn't still a suitable player in the midfield. Yeah, it's my thoughts, I guess. Maybe I'm alone in that.
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts you have any thoughts that you want to bring up before we wrap up this episode? We're at a little bit over 2 hours in.
Not much really. Obviously, I'm sure we've spoken about the game. Obviously the last 2 days. Obviously, still improvement, but good to win. I mean, it's the first time we won 2 in a row since September, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Premier League games, not like all competitions, but yeah,
Right.
it's weird.
Right.
It's mad, isn't it? And we still not 100%. This is it, because apart from the top 3, the fourth, like everything's bunched up. So even though really we deserve to be further down, we're caught up, and obviously we're 5th or joint 4th or whatever, joint 4th. So yeah, I just think the midfield
No, we're
is
fifth. We're fifth.
5th, yeah. Well,
We're
joint
fifth.
5th, yeah, joint 4th, whatever, 5th, goal
Or,
difference.
okay, you're
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
fourth
yeah. So we're a bit lucky. So we need to continue this run. I just think the midfield is a bit missing. Gravi's just gone under the ball recently.
Mm-hmm.
For me, he's just gone off it, And this is just but this is a problem. Even if he was fit, he wouldn't get any game time. Endo, or like we're calling it, it's for him to step in, but he's not going to get it. Obviously, Curtis done well, but he was sloppy at the end. It's the thing, and I think Wolves. I mean,
But I've been told that what was the comment? I'm trying to think of what the comment was by some cheeky individual online.
yeah,
Comment. It was something along the lines of like, in essence, I'm paraphrasing. It is in essence about how it doesn't matter that that Slot has had 6-game losing streaks or something. What was the comment? Let me see if I can find it, because it was a weird comment.
yeah.
He's basically almost in essence like saying that other coaches have had bad runs the year after they have won the title, so it's acceptable, I guess, that Slot is where he's at. That's what he was trying to say.
Nonsense, like chestnut nonsense.
I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't understand it. It was a conversation where I was like, you ever sometimes you get into these like, but you get into some of these conversations with people online, and you can tell that it's going. Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just someone trolling you with some nonsensical conversation. But I was trying to see if I can find it. Trying to see, where was it? Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can. It might take a second, but I'll see if I can find it. Go ahead. Did you have anything else that was on your mind? I'll see if I can find it real quick too, because I think I did
Find it, yeah. And hold on, give me a second. Give me 2 seconds, actually. To be fair, I was going to say something. When you find the article, pick up everyone in the chat as always, man.
No problem. Let's see. Mo felt he was the scapegoat. I get that. he did think that, and that was healthy to hear. I don't know if you guys saw that, that interview by Curtis Jones, but Curtis Jones did speak on that.
Oh my.
Mohamed Salah apologized to the team.
Well, you
And,
damn Skippy, he did.
Yeah, and for all those that were on some, he has every right to do this, or he has every right to do that, and he does. He has every right. He said that, but yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that he shouldn't have apologized, and he did. And I commend him for doing so. That was very big of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had to. No question of that. Like, if he didn't, then bye-bye. In my concern. See you later. Hasta la vista. Don't hit the door on the day out. Excited to see ya. Bye-bye, Mo. Thanks for the memories. I mean, it's just no doubt in mind. It's just, and of course, you got the Salah fanboy saying, oh, this, and he's a, legend. And yes, we know he's a legend. Great things, We're all defending him at some point, but you can't be doing that. If he can do that, so anyone can do that? No, sir. As the Jamaican says, nah, sir. Nah, sir, no, you can't do them things there. As the Jamaican say. Yeah? Can't run like that more. Yeah? So,
here's the comment. It was something.
Oh, you got it, yeah? Okay. I'll say what I was going to say after.
I had to find it because this was apparently the reader's checkmate. He even wrote the word checkmate in the
Oh, in response to you, checkmate.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, wow. He plays chess, does he? Okay.
Apparently he does.
Okay.
He does.
Oh, well.
Grandmaster or something, I guess, or something like that. But
what comment?
He said,
hold on, 12. Before you read it, what channel?
Yeah.
What comment was this under? To yourself?
This comment was on a Lawrence McKenna. This was on a Lawrence McKenna comment section of my. Lawrence McKenna made a review that had intense, a lot of comments put onto some of them, well out of bounds. And it's something I said that's just horrible to see, calling people like, these names and the likes, slurs and all this other ridiculous stuff. But Lawrence McKenna made his conversation. I guess I'm outing one of the names of the people that I was writing on their comment base. He made the conversation about in the channel, he made his conversation be one where he was talking about the positives in the Spurs game and how it was positive about this and it was positive about that and how the result speaks for itself and how we were the better team and how we were this and how we were that over Spurs. And I think what triggered me enough to comment was the fact that I truly believe in that Spurs matchup. What was very, very troubling for me was the way that we looked so tense, so out of focus, or how it looked like we had a real gut punch to our confidence in that last 10, maybe 15 minutes or whatever it was, of at least 10 minutes, because 10 minutes was the actual time. But the 15, 20 minutes probably of after we got scored on by Richarlison, we were playing against a team that had 9 players on the pitch, and we could not hold on to the ball. We're a team that, quote unquote, is premised upon control, about having control and patience, and we could not control the ball. There were opportunities where we were seeing some of our better players on the ball give up the ball, and whether it was because they, the squeaky bum time that you said, or whatever, that was a real concern to me. And I was saying that, yes, point out the positives. You can definitely point out the positives, but you have to be more the more underlining tone of his of his video was, "There's nothing to see here. Everything's fine." And I was like, no, what is to see, or what is a concern, is how we seem to simply survive against a 9-man Spurs team. We should not, even with our injuries, even with all the shuffling of players and the likes, we should not have to simply hold on and hopefully survive against a Spurs team, a 9-man Spurs team.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a concern. And that was to me the bigger headline than some of the positives that 90%, if not 95% of his, because 5% was to like take a shot at Chiesa for some reason. I don't understand why Lawrence McKenna decided to sometimes take shots at certain players. His choice now is to take these shots at Chiesa lately.
Yeah.
And why I brought up the conversation was because of the content creators on the internet that I follow, that I definitely heavily regard and appreciate and big up a lot. Lawrence McKenna is at the top of that list.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why I like Lawrence McKenna is because Lawrence McKenna brings up comments that I say on his show.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that it's not, "You're stupid, move on." It's a conversation of, okay, let me at least be open enough to hear what you have to say and try to break down some reasoning and have a discourse between us. And that's what he tends to do more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a comment, and my comment was basically regarding his breakdown, and I didn't agree with the way that he broke down the game, because he was trying to make it seem like we had just had some incredibly, flowing, fluid, well orchestrated game that was entertaining to watch. That's what the tone of what he was saying was, and I'm like, yeah, you watched the same game I did. Because that was not a fun ride.
No, it wasn't.
And it was far from comfortable.
Yeah. First half was pretty low in the game on both sides.
Exactly. That first half was excruciating.
Yeah.
And then, yes, we started to put things together in the second half, but you're talking about a second half, again, that includes 10, 15 minutes towards the end of the game where we're looking to survive.
Yeah, joke. Yeah. Should have been
and that was concerning. That game reminded me. I know we're gonna go. I'll stick around for a couple because now you got me triggered. We were in a game.
I ain't got much time. Oh, sleep soon.
Yeah. But I'll just say we were in a game that reminded me of the Newcastle game, and that was what I was trying to emphasize. I was emphasizing that to him. I was saying we looked like, as opposed to us, we weren't searching for a goal, albeit like we were in the Newcastle game. But we were certainly playing against a team that was down a man, if not 2 men in this game, that still looked like they had more urgency, more intent, more connectivity, and more of a threat on the pitch to score against us. That should never, ever be in the narrative to what we speak on about Liverpool, I think. And that's why I was getting on about that. And again, I'll just read the one little portion that he said that was very interesting. He said, he was trying to ask me about what was the thing? He's asking about he said he called me a clickbait content merchant or something, and then he said what did he say? Said, please, can you advise the audience where Liverpool FC have ever been a chop and change manager institution? We await your input. And I was like, when have we ever been? Have you ever heard me say slot out?
No. No.
It's why
No.
it's like you get into some of these conversations with people and you're just like, you're not listening. You might have in your mind what is being said, but there's a disconnect in your brain apparently that doesn't want to allow for what is actually being discussed be central. Because he goes, remember to include all our previous managers who had bad runs, like Klopp, who lost 6 matches in a row at Anfield, and the fact that we did not retain the title with him after becoming champions. We are all looking forward to my next video. And then he said something kind of cheeky and kind of ugly to say, but I just made a point of just saying when I saw that comment, I was like, okay, did Klopp? If we're gonna really try to equate Klopp 6 game when he was down to what he was with the losses that he had at six runs at 6 games or something like that. So I guess with the 6 games he lost at Liverpool or at Anfield, right? Was it 6 games? Was it 6 games in a row? I remember he did have a little bit of a losing streak under him. I think that what's unique about sometimes these conversations that people don't put in context behind what it is, what's going on. And again, I've never been a slot out person, and that's why it's so interesting to hear this conversation be what it is. But I don't want to. I know that you're limited on time. I know it's about to be midnight. I know that I definitely went on a little bit of a tangent, being triggered by some of the I shouldn't say knuckleheads, but some of them are out there. Shouldn't use names, disparaging names and such. So I do apologize for saying that. But yeah, it was interesting to see that take, and I was like, I think some of the people that are definitely all about slot, they're really going a little bit overboard on some of the defense that they're dropping for our coach, as if he can't even be his game or his results or his procedures or likes can't even be analyzed, apparently, critiqued, criticized constructively, even if it's constructive criticism. I guess you can't do that. So we'll see where we go with it. But it was uniquely. But yeah, so you guys got a little. Just why it's difficult being a content creator out here. It's not easy. You have all these people ready to take aim at what you say, and every opinion that you have, they clip you up, which I do. I do that some of my opponents or fierce rivals as well. So I understand that, and it's part of who we are. But every team are going to have their chances. I mean, most games in the league, including Arsenal's, have gone the way of dealing with sustained frantic moments. Yeah. They are. All teams are going to have chances at seeing the ball. But tell me, if you told me that a Liverpool team was going to be up against a 9-man Spurs team, wouldn't you think that we would be able to control the ball enough that we could not only open up maybe a scoring opportunity for us if they're going to press us? Because realistically, think about it, they're going to press us, fantastic. That's going to open up someone on the pitch to be able to be isolated, to have grass in front of them to run into. So if that's the case, don't you think that we should be able to, if our system is all about control, shouldn't we be able to control the ball and not look like we're flustered or frustrated by Spurs? Is that wrong to think? Lee? I'll say Lee. Ted?
You used to leave. Oh, dear. Yeah, you know. No, it's not too wrong. But
No, if it was
we
Lee,
did,
if it was Lee, he would have been making a sandwich in the middle of my
yeah, it'd
rant.
be
So
sandwich. You'd be
yeah,
like, yeah. Repeat the question
he'd
again
already
from the
be
12.
yeah,
Repeat the
yeah,
question
yeah.
again for me. Big up, Lee.
He'd already be a
Scoutsley.
peanut butter
Scoutsley.
sandwich. Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott's Lee, our brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had bits and parts where we were controlling the midfielder a bit, then we were sloppy. But I think Slot alluded to a little bit, but he wasn't happy about the end bit. Even he, in his press
Which is good
conference,
to
saying,
hear.
no,
That's yeah.
yeah, which is refreshing. And people still banging on about the tactics and stuff like that. Yeah, it could be better than first half. I agree. But he changed it up in the second. And what happened with Tottenham, that wasn't a Slot thing. That was on the players. And I'm just getting bored of all these it's but of a coach is a player. Look, I'm going to say it again, like, football is not rocket science. Football is not rocket science. Yes, you have a coach. They have to guide you in certain things, or maybe they see a certain path for you, but you have to execute it. Now, if Slot tells me to stay up, stay at the top, and I keep on coming back, is that a Slot fault or the player's fault? So it's like a lot of these fans want to, like, and I get Slot is a fault for a lot of stuff, I get, but you can't, like, people are just, the hate is just coming out. It's not just down to Slot. The players have got a lot to blame themselves.
Yeah. It's a conjoined. That's why
It's a conjoined, yeah.
I've never been
Man,
I've
you
never
could get
been a
all,
Slot out. It's
yeah.
more of like
I
it's a
can't, like, I was,
conjoined.
yeah, I kind of had enough,
Yeah,
but look,
they're sitting at the.
yeah. Because, like, they're adults. Some of these people online with some Bry's channel once, and they act, especially on Bry's, big up Bry. They act like these players are babies. It's unbelievable. They act like, oh, they need a dummy. Oh, yeah, the coach. I need the coach to tell me how to block a shot. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Ain't game
Some of this
intelligence,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, some of that is just players need to take accountability of their.
Yeah, exactly. Is it? This is it. So
Absolutely.
I just get bored of that narrative, but it really does my head in. I don't want to get offensive to certain people, but yeah. But anyway, but we got the win. Yeah, we got the win. Main thing.
Yeah, that's what the 3 points is all matters at this moment. But I would like to see entertaining football. I would like to see more. I would like to see a more consistent fluidity to our offense, to bring some stability, to bring some type of comfort in the team, and recognizing that we do look like we deserve to be, we deserve to have these wins, as opposed to people saying, "Oh, you lucked into that win," or things such as that. Yeah. Well, look, Liverpool are wounded. I know, because all the injuries that we just spoke on. I think, unfortunately, this year Liverpool have flaws. All teams do, but how we work out those flaws is another thing, and how we do that is by having these conversations that we're having today on the channel, having these conversations with you in the chat, with a panel, especially some of the individuals that partake in our panel are well-based, well-knowledged, just as a good number of the people in the chat are either well-based or well-knowledged with the sport. I love the fact that our discourse is going to bring some type of enlightenment for us, whether we're the ones learning or the ones teaching. As long as we are all growing, that's the most important thing, because we need to all stand together. And that's the very, very important thing as Liverpool Reds, is that we stand together and continue to support the club and support the team and support each other, which is what we're trying to do. This is certainly survival football at the moment right now, which is until we find that winning formula, not celebration football, which is what we've been certainly a part of in eras before. But survival keeps the season alive, and that's where we're at right now. And that's what we're doing. I'll give you almost the last word before my last 3 words. But go ahead. What would you like to say to the people before we bounce?
No problems. Pick up the chat. Pick up everyone. You know, pick up the Western soldiers who are busy. You know, Lee on date night with Tracy and JK. But yeah, pick up everyone. Stay tuned, man, and look in. Tell a friend, subscribe, man. Come on, let's get this. 12's been doing this for a while now, over a year, nearly two years now. Let's push the boundaries, man. Let's get the algorithm up, people. Tell a friend to tell a friend, get the likes up, and yeah, God bless, man. Until the next time.
Yeah, until next time, always definitely. Always know, yes, you'll never walk alone, and always, brothers, sisters, Reds family. Best believe up the Reds each and every time. We appreciate your patronage. We will see you tomorrow. Again, if you're into that, if you want to have that Chiesa conversation, certainly tune in tomorrow. We're going to have a little bit of a unique take on Chiesa. I have like at least 2 segments that are Chiesa driven. I guess you could even say big up Italia, because maybe I will even rock out my Italian jacket tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, it is definitely about Italy tomorrow. So hopefully you join us tomorrow. Hopefully you hit that like. And again, I hope that everyone's well, that everyone continues to do so. Please be sure to take care of yourselves and continue to take care of your loved ones in your lives. Understand that we're always there for you. And like I said, up the Reds each and every time. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.